Agility to me these days is, a lot of brands are chasing trends. It's not about chasing trends. It's really about being relevant. How do you become relevant? You have to be able to pivot and you have to be able to scale.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Behind the Franchise. As always, I'm your host, Paul Ehlinger, and today, super excited, I'm joined by the newly appointed CMO of Edible Brands, Angela Johnson. Angela, thanks for being on today.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it, and yeah, congrats, that's awesome. Always good to come off a promotion.
Absolutely. Yeah. Been an exciting 2 weeks.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And for those who may or may not know you, Angela, maybe just give us the quick rundown, kind of where you've been in your career and how'd you end up here as CMO at Edible Brands.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started on the agency side.
Yeah.
So spent about 15 years on the agency side working within the franchising space. I mean, I've been doing franchising and food really for about 24 years.
That's awesome.
I love it. I always tell people you're either going to love it or hate it.
And you'll find out really quickly.
You'll find out very, very quickly. I really love it. I love the fast pace of it. I love the franchisees. I love the entrepreneurial kind of aspect of it. But started on the agency side, and then I left agency to go work at Crystal Hamburgers and worked my way up there as head of marketing, where I led anything and everything, whether it be creative, brand strategy, digital, launched third party over there, PR, culinary, R&D, all of it.
Culinary R&D is a little bit of a different taste of everything else there.
Yeah, but that's where I kind of cut my teeth there at Crystal, and then I was there for almost 7 years. So quite the ride, and we also took that brand through bankruptcy. So really talk about building a brand up from the bottom.
Yeah.
And then I left Crystal, came to Edible. It was a stretch for me in the fact that I didn't have any digital experience, right?
Sure.
Edible Arrangements, heavy e-commerce, and really kind of put marketing to the side and really focused on innovation, product, and really that go-to-market strategy and testing and learning, and what works within the e-commerce space.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, for those who may not be aware, so obviously I think that the namesake Edible Arrangements, right? But now Edible Brands, larger platform play. Maybe walk us through kind of, what that looks like.
Absolutely. So Edible Brands, we are the parent company of Edible as in Edible Arrangements. We have 650 locations across the U.S. and Canada. Everybody knows us for our chocolate dip strawberries and our legacy arrangements. But we've transitioned the brand quite a bit over the last almost 5 years that I've been here. And we can talk more about that in a minute. But e-commerce, 80% of our business is e-commerce, 20% is in-store. When I say 650 locations, a lot of people don't even realize we have that many locations.
Sure.
They don't realize you can actually walk into an Edible Arrangement. You can, and we welcome that. And then we bought Roti last year out of bankruptcy in February. It's a fast casual brand, Mediterranean brand, similar to a Cava, right? You walk down the line. Mediterranean is one of the fastest growing segments in the fast casual industry. So it's very attractive, but it's a phenomenal brand. Very healthy, conscious. The ingredients, whether you're gluten-free, vegetarian, we have anything and everything for you. And it's just a brand that I think really fits within today's world and what people are looking for, that kind of health halo that's happening right now.
Absolutely.
And then edibles.com. And that is edibles, edibles, actual gummies. But I'll tell you, we're not here to get people high, Paul. We say health, not high. And it's really about the need states, right? So people looking for sleep and helping with, energy and things like that, and really creating that marketplace. And, the conversation was, we have the IP, right? We own edibles.com. So why not? And let's do it in a way that makes sense for our portfolio, which again is that health, not high.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's like such a massive consumer trend right now as well, is kind of how this can be used for health side effects and kind of to supplement your life in that way. So I think it makes perfect sense for you guys. I'm curious with Roti, because I think also acquired out of bankruptcy, correct?
Yes.
And so, for you, I'm like, you're probably just sitting there being like, oh man, we've got this playbook with Crystal like ready to go, like. But it
Yeah.
does seem like it's kind of it's different, right? It feels like a different brand than Edible. Walk us through, like, what does that strategy look like when you guys are sitting around the table and saying, hey, let's build this platform out. And I know it's health centric, health halo.
Yeah.
What else made that an attractive like acquisition target for the platform?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we are looking to make money. Like,
Correct.
let's
Yeah.
be very, very clear, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the ROI. So we're looking for brands who, maybe just had the leadership and the structure and the process weren't there. And I think
Sure.
Roti fits all of those bills, right?
Mm.
Phenomenal brand, great product, right?
Yep.
And the people love the brand. It's very similar to Edible. When you ask people about Edible arrangements, they're like, God, I love Edible. And they have a
Yeah.
story about Edible. It's very similar with Roti. They're very much attached to the brand. And I think Edible Brands in general is really about just bringing celebration and joy. So
Yeah.
all the brands that we're bringing into our portfolio is about creating that connection. And I think with Roti, they had that it factor. It's hard for me to define, like, these are the things that the brands have to have. It's a feeling almost, Paul. Like when
Yeah.
we walked in and we started talking with, the employees of Roti and the
Yeah.
service, and just kind of, we call it the vibe.
I was going to say, as the kids would say, the vibe was right.
And you feel, it's just a feeling. It's the experience that you get. Again, it's the quality of the product and the ingredients. And so it was a brand that had a lot of things working for it.
Yeah.
We just came in and, used our infrastructure and our leadership to put a plan together, and we're going to start franchising.
Yeah, I love that. And maybe dive a little deeper into that. So we bring a new brand in. Obviously, you have this platform. You've got established, this is how this brand runs. This is how this brand runs. How much, as you bring a new brand on, are you changing mechanisms, changing how the brand is presented to the public versus really just trying to amplify, hey, we know that these three things work. Like, let's execute those to the fullest. Like, what does that kind of look like in the beginning stages?
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of coming under the portfolio of edible arrangements is we already have this great infrastructure, and we have shared services and things like that we that help really support the brand. But each brand is its own individual. Like, let me be very, very clear, right? The playbook that works for Edible is not the same playbook that we're going to utilize for Roti. For several reasons, right? I mean, you've got 26-year-old legacy brand at Edible Arrangements. Roti, I only have 17 locations, right? I'm currently in Chicago.
Very different distribution, very different
distribution. I'm in Chicago, DC, and Minneapolis, right? And it's restaurant versus e-commerce, right? There's some synergies, absolutely. But it's really about understanding what are those levers and like key elements for that brand that's going to drive revenue. Roti, for instance, catering. 25% of our business is catering. So that would be something that we look at from a strategic perspective, and how do we grow that day part. I'm also testing breakfast currently right now with Roti. So, it's different for both brands, and we'll have a different playbook, but at the same time, we're using a lot of the same team in terms of a shared service, except for the creative piece.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I mean, I imagine just thinking about catering with Roti, catering ordering is an e-com experience. Like, you don't go into the store and order catering. You do it online. You expect it to be delivered on time. I imagine that's a dynamic. You're like, heck yeah, we can do this so well.
Absolutely. And I think it's still an opportunity for Edible Arrangements as well. So as you look for catering and B2B, that's one of the things from a product perspective. It's really taking a brand that people know as high volume occasions, like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and kind of, again, that arrangement, that chocolate dipped strawberries. Now we have dessert board. We have beautiful dessert tablescapes. That plays into that gathering, that catering moment, right? So we have an opportunity on the edible arrangement side in catering, and we also have an opportunity on the Roti side for catering.
Yeah, makes a ton of sense. And you touched on it a bit, but I'm always fascinated by this with platforms. How the decisions are made to say this belongs to the brand versus this is a shared service, because I do think it's a hyper important decision, and it's one that you get down a path and it's like, wow, we really got to commit to this. How are you making those decisions tactically? Like, what's making you say like this needs to sit in the brand versus this can be shared above?
I think it's different for every single brand.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not a formula that I can say, well, here's the formula, Paul, and it works for everybody. We're actually in a transition right now of we used to have everything in house. So
Yeah.
all of our creative, pretty much everything was a shared service
Yeah.
across the portfolios. The challenge with that, and especially when you're dealing with 650 units, 17 units, very, very different budgets, again, very different approaches. Typically, the smaller brands are always going to get put to the wayside.
Sure. Yeah.
It's
It's
constant.
hard to explain the impact to somebody when they're seeing like 95% of volume here and 5%
Exactly,
here. Yeah.
exactly. And so what we're doing now is shared services. Obviously, you have accounting and finance, and we
Yeah.
have an integrated marketing team that is more of the execution arm,
Mm-hmm.
um, supply chain, things like that.
Yeah.
Still work from a shared services perspective, but creative, I have two new agencies. So I have gone out and hired two new AORs, one for edible arrangements, one for roti. And that's on purpose because I want you to start being an extension of our brand.
Yeah.
You're going to own the creative, you're going to own the tone, and I want you living it and breathing it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think when you have a shared service from creative, you can do that, but I think you're better at it when you have it separated. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, because my assumption is the agency is probably going to bifurcate their team anyway to say this person owns this versus this person owns this. So you're not even getting the full agency on either brand, right?
You're not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think.
And honestly, agility. That would be the other thing. The way that we are, the teams that we're building in house and even on the agency side, agility to me these days is, a lot of brands are chasing trends. It's not about chasing trends. It's really about being relevant. How do you become relevant? You have to be able to pivot. And you have to be able to scale.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think I was talking to Brooke Budke, who is the former CEO at Title Boxing, and she really described it as like, you have to like own the customer. Like you have to live and breathe and know that endpoint. And like, as much as there's overlap, they're two very distinct customers. And I think the idea of like owning it, living it every day is just so much easier. Because to your point, if I know that this is how this person's going to react to this event, I should be able to move quickly to kind of do that for the brand.
Yeah, well, and the customer experience is changing. I mean, what I've seen is that with this device alone, right?
Sure, yeah.
Truly, I mean, you can order anything at the touch of a finger within
100%.
per second, even, right? And so you have to meet the customer where they're at.
Yeah, and excuse me, and I'm curious, like with edible specifically. I love this idea of like the dessert board, like using product innovation to bring the brand into the modern world, because I do think, like, to your point, my historical view of it is like, oh, it's a Mother's Day thing. It's a Valentine's Day thing. Yeah. But when you start talking dessert boards, it's like, this is an Instagrammable thing. Like you're entering into like a new consumer market when you start talking in kind of those languages.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about girls' night in.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about those everyday moments. I think that's the other thing, in order to modernize a brand like Edible, they fit within this box, this traditional box of, again, just that one-on-one birthday occasion, anniversary occasion. And now it's more, again, connection, right? You'll hear me talk a lot about it, experience and connection. And that's what this younger generation is looking for as well. And so a dessert board is an experience in itself, right?
Yeah. You're
gathering around it. It's got cheesecakes and brownies and chocolate dipped strawberries and pineapples. It's a variety of product on one board.
Sold.
Phenomenal. I'll have to send you one.
I'll take it. Yeah, hear me out. I've got date night tomorrow with the wife, so
it's perfect for a date night.
Yeah, and I love that idea of like create your own experience. I think that's such a foundational idea there. I had Sharif Mityas, who runs Bricks Holdings, Freddy's, a bunch of brands underneath there.
Yes.
And something he talked about was with their platform, they see no reason where if they start to learn a customer, they can't learn what do they do in the morning, what do they do at night, what do they do before they come to our restaurant.
Yeah.
And they're starting to plug in restaurants throughout there. So they brought on a smoothie concept because they realized nobody's getting a Freddy's burger for breakfast type of thing.
Right.
When you guys think about expanding the platform, how much do you think about like, hey, we know these consumers, how can we just expand out within that existing life of the consumer we already know?
Yeah, well, we're doing it in a couple different ways. Also, the beauty of a portfolio brand is, I'll give you an example with roti and edible. So edible desserts, I mentioned cheesecakes and brownies and cookies. We have phenomenal desserts.
Yeah.
And so we've taken that and we've actually introduced that to the roti customer, right?
Interesting.
So it's a point of distribution for the edible side of the brand. It's
Yep.
bringing awareness to that brand to a new customer, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We know that they're looking for kind of an indulgence and kind of sweet treat as part of their meal.
Yeah.
It helps drive check. So you're kind of checking the box from a profitability and revenue perspective on the roti side.
Yep.
And so that's one example of how we're kind of, one, utilizing both brands, but also, using the customer when they're there at Roti. We know
Yep.
it's a captured audience, right?
Right. They're in the store. Yeah.
How do we benefit ourselves? How do we tie it to another brand, bring awareness to a brand like Edible Arrangements? And I think also, loyalty is going to be a big part for
Mm-hmm,
Roti.
mm-hmm.
Social media is going to be a big part for Roti, and UGC content, and just being, I think, authentic. I think that's
Sure.
the beauty about the Roti brand and kind of that customer journey and connecting with them is
Mm-hmm.
really going to come down to, if we're going to do influencers, I'm not going to pick some celebrity. I don't have the budgets for it,
Sure.
right? Truly,
Yeah.
I don't have the budgets for it. But also, I think today's customer is also looking for authenticity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They
And
want
so
they
when
want the
they can,
neighborhood influencer. They want the
they
15,000
want the neighborhood
followers.
influencer,
Yeah.
exactly. So when they can kind of see themselves within that,
Yeah.
that's another way that how we're going to connect, and really be part of that customer journey.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm curious, like, how does this extend over into catering? Like, I think it makes a ton of sense to be able to like tack on dessert with my roti catering order,
Yeah.
Is that something that you do intentionally? Is that something that do you even bother to brand it as edible desserts being added onto a roti
We
catering
do
order?
it. Yes. So
Yeah.
you can get a full platter of cheesecakes,
Yeah.
brownies, cookies, and it has an edible arrangement. So it's like roti desserts powered by edible
I
arrangement.
love it. Yeah, yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
that idea, right? It's kind of like the idea of like
Borrowing from software. I was going to say that's a software move right there,
it's
powered
a
by
totally a it's like, when ghost kitchens became really big,
Yeah.
Chili's and everybody else, had a wings concept, and it was, whatever, hot wings powered by, Brinks or Chili's or whatever it was. So
Yeah.
similar concept, but no, I mean, um, yes, you will have the branding on there, and because
Hmm.
there's awareness, right? We have 94% brand awareness with edible
Yeah.
arrangements. So I want to utilize that brand equity.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a ton of sense. Like, I imagine the challenge on Edible has to be just getting more visits and increasing ticket size on a visit, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, our average ticket is $75,
Yeah,
right?
which is
So
already impressive.
yeah, and again, for us to get that, just one more offer is
Hmm.
would be huge for the brand. So
Yeah,
if you're visiting us for Valentine's Day, if I can get you in for an anniversary, or you know what, you got a new job,
yeah,
or your friend is having a bad day, that's one of the things in terms of like modernizing the brand and the tone of the brand.
mm.
I have this idea of like a bad day brownie. Like younger generation, truly, right? Like
It's
they,
so good. Yeah,
right? Instead of it just being a brownie, let's call it a bad day brownie, and you send it
yeah,
to your girlfriend who's having a bad day. Those are the everyday moments that we want to kind of be a part of, right?
yeah.
Not just those big holiday occasions.
Are you guys in like the social shopping experience? Because I think that's like you're scrolling, your girlfriend's having a bad day. All of a sudden, I get an ad to send a bad day brownie. I can one click to the shopping experience. Is
Yeah,
that?
I mean, we're definitely working on that.
Yeah.
We just for edibles specifically, we're starting to look at TikTok.
Mm.
That's a new platform for us. We're talking about Snap.
Yeah.
We're playing within the Pinterest world, which is interesting. Obviously,
Pinterest makes a ton of sense with the dessert boards. Yeah, I
right
mean, that's just right there.
things like that. So definitely moving away from that what I would say is a traditional media mix. I mean,
Yeah.
still obviously you want to optimize your upper funnel and mid funnel and all the things, performance, but the UGC, and again meeting them where they're at on those platforms that I just described,
Yeah.
that's where we're seeing the success,
Yeah. No, I
and
mean,
that's where the conversion's happening.
it makes a ton of sense. I think that's the modern shopping experience.
Yeah.
Like you want to live it and see it right away. With loyalty, I'm curious: is there ever a world where that becomes a hybrid model, where like I can get loyalty points to Roti because I'm ordering through Edible? Like I know it's more complicated.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like as that happens, because you are pushing, the products on both sides.
That's not part of our plan right now.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Just because we don't want to confuse the customer.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that the example I gave, where our pointed distribution with bringing the desserts into roti, is kind of the extent that we're going to do. But
Yeah.
we have an app for roti, and we have an app for edible. We're actually relaunching our app in spring for edible to become more of a
Nice.
points-based app,
Sure.
and
Sure. Sure.
really
Sure.
have a better experience. Because again, we just talked about it. Everybody's shopping on their phone.
Yeah.
Fewer and fewer people are going to their desktop. So it's really important that you have a frictionless kind of experience.
100%. Yeah.
Right. And so whatever they see, that meta ad, or, the email that they got served, or whatever it is, you're pulling through that brand consistency
Yeah.
all the way through. Right. It's
Yeah.
a consistent kind of journey. And again, it makes it, you want it to be easy for the customer. Another example I give, if I have to put my credit card number in, I'm out. I'm out. I got to go get my purse.
Give me an Apple Pay option. That's all I'm asking, is an Apple Pay option,
But it's true.
No,
right?
it's totally true. I'm the same way. Like, literally, I had this like 2 nights ago. I was like booking some travel for my wife and I was like, I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll be at my desk tomorrow. It'll be fine. Like, I'm not going to go get it.
Exactly. So it's removing those obstacles like that make a huge difference when you're talking about conversion and like immediate gratification.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think jumping a little bit, you touched on this earlier, with Edible being a 25-year-old legacy brand, Roti being kind of coming out of bankruptcy, leading to franchising. These are very different stages of a company, like exceedingly different stages of a company that require very different strategies. I'm curious, like, as the CMO, like, are you spend this day on this brand, this day on that brand, you split time, like, how are you functionally doing that? Because I have to imagine it requires different headspaces.
It 100% requires. It's probably my biggest challenge, honestly.
Yeah, just code switching between the two.
Yes, because, but I will tell you, my superpower is I thrive in chaos.
It's because you started at an agency. I swear that is like what it is. You just learn chaos when you're in an agency scenario.
So I kind of like that every day is a different day, and like, 1 hour I'm working on Roti Social, and then I've got to change and work on, Edible LTO for spring.
Sure, yeah.
And so it keeps it interesting, that's for sure. And I also like it because there's learnings, right? So there might be something that I learned from Edible that I can apply to Roti and vice versa. So, I mean, from a brand perspective, though, I'm kind of the shared service, but then I have, brand managers, right? They're only living Edible. They're only living Roti.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm curious as well, just from like a risk perspective, right? And so like they're all under the same portfolio, but if I'm a 18 location brand, I think you said, I'm going to take bigger risks than I would as an over 600 location brand. Yeah. Is that an ideology that exists? Like, are you willing to take larger risks on a smaller brand with Roti than you would with the Edible brand?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I think also, though, where we are with Edible being, again, 26 years old, people, and I'm going to say this because even our CEO has said this, some people think of us as a grandma brand. And that
you've got to find yourself again. So maybe risk is inherent to both.
Change that perception, right? Yeah. So, we really, it is about, again, that category modernization, things like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it all kind of comes full circle there.
It kind of all comes full circle. Yeah, it kind of all comes full circle. Whereas Roti, I mean, from a risk perspective, I think we can take some risks with that brand. Look at a brand like Kava, right? They've had tremendous success.
Correct, yeah.
We're not going to take their playbook exactly. I think we're going to be a little bit more intentional in how we scale. But definitely there are some risks that we can take with that brand to scale quickly. Yeah. And because it's you got to strike while the iron's hot, right?
It is hot. Yeah, the consumer market is ready for this type of a brand right now. Yep.
Everybody's looking for this brand. And so I think, we're having conversations right now how far are we willing to risk? Like, what does that risk look like? And also budgets also play a part. I mean, that's the unfortunate part, great ideas, experiential ideas, pop-ups, things like that, but that does cost money. So we, when you're talking about Roti and the smaller budgets, it's got to be biggest bang for your buck. And again, ROI comes back to
Yeah.
ROI.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to imagine too, as you start opening up franchising for it, like that's what franchisees also want, is they
Yes,
want bang for the buck, ROI on every dollar they're putting into marketing, because they don't always see it as an investment. They see it as a cost center sometime, and it's like, hey,
I would
we
say
gotta, yeah,
more often than not, they
yeah,
consider, right?
yeah,
And that's where it's important. I think we've done a great job as a franchisor, or we've done a better job. Let me say that we've
yeah,
gotten better at being more transparent, telling our franchisees how we're spending those dollars, what the impact is,
yeah.
right, to their business.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense. And, you know, maybe in closing, what should have I asked you about? What are you excited to talk about, you know, as you're kind of kicking off 2026 here as the CMO of Edible
Yeah,
Brands?
I mean, I'm really excited about both brands. I mean, I think
Yeah,
there's the opportunity for both is huge. For
yeah,
edible specifically, just educating the consumer on we are so much more than just chocolate dip strawberries and
yeah,
arrangements, right?
yeah,
So, really proud of the team effort and products that we've rolled out, but letting people know we have flowers and
hmm,
cheesecakes and cakes and brownies and cupcakes, right?
yeah,
I think also there's an opportunity with edible that's not just gifting and kind of catering and B2B, but that's self-indulgence. We see that with
100%.
third party,
Yep.
right? So really leaning into digital and third party of, I want to add on that box of cookies with my
Yeah,
roti,
with my DoorDash order or whatever the heck it may be. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So big opportunity there and just creating the, diversified revenue streams, right?
yeah,
I think every brand with tariffs and cogs and inflation and all the macro factors that are happening today, you have to get really creative
yeah, yeah. You have to find the angle and expose it and like really lean into it.
and really lean into it. So I think we're doing that with both brands. So
Yep.
really excited about just modernizing Edible,
Hmm.
evolving that brand, really taking over the gifting world.
Yeah,
That's what we plan on. We want to be America's go-to destination for gifting.
I
That's what
love
we're
it.
out here to do for Edible. And then on the roti side, I want to be the next Kava,
Yeah,
right? But from a franchise perspective, and really own that space in fast casual and bring a phenomenal product, phenomenal experience to the fast casual Mediterranean kind of
yeah,
segment. So that's what we're looking to do there. And then, edibles.com is just really about health and wellness and just creating a platform that is really about education.
yeah. No, it makes a ton of sense. And Angela, appreciate you being on. Where can guests find you? Excuse me, guest listeners find you. Learn more about the brands. What's the best place to find you guys online?
Well, I mean, you can go to roti.com, edible.com, edibles.com, and learn about all the various different brands.
Yep.
But, if you ever see me out, I do attend a lot of the conferences. I am networking. I love to
Awesome.
talk to people. I love to learn about what other brands are doing as well. So definitely come and say hi to me if you
I
see me.
love it. Angela, this was fantastic. I really appreciate kind of the dive down into the different brands. I love discussing the dynamic on a platform because I do think it is like unique to every platform
Yeah.
about how it gets handled. So I appreciate you diving into that and taking your time to be on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody else, I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did. And as always, we hope you show up and listen to the next episode of Behind the Franchise. Have a great day.